Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Dad Project. Back to it this week after a week off last week. We got to go and see a dinosaur exhibit down at the Brisbane Museum, which was awesome. The kids loved it, got to catch up with their uncle and auntie, and we just had a great time away. And as a result, I didn't drop a podcast last week just because I like to keep these podcasts fresh. I don't like to bank too many of them and really just release them each week and go through what's on my mind for the week or a topic that has come up during that week. So had a week off. It was great. Enjoyed it, but back to it for another week. So before I get into today's topic, I just want to ask you the same few favors I do every single week. Please make sure you're subscribed on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. Apple, Spotify, Google, we are on all of them. And while you're there, please jump on and leave me a 5-star review, because by you doing that, it helps me get the podcast out to more people on those platforms. You can also follow us on the social media, so the Unstoppable Dad Project on Facebook, and at the Unstoppable Dad on Instagram. And please share it around with anyone else who you might think will get some value out of what it is that I am doing here, being a one-man band and putting this show together each week for free for you guys. Has been super rewarding for me over the last 100 plus episodes now, and I love it, and I will continue to do it for as long as it is feasible for my time, but I need your help to continue to grow it. So please share it around with anyone who you think might get some value or some entertainment out of the podcast that I am putting out each and every single week. Now, this week I just wanted to put out a little bit more of it's a reminder, I would like to think of it as, and it's something that I have to remind myself of from time to time, especially when things feel like they get extremely overwhelming. And things get, for a lot of dads, for me as well, for just a lot of people in general, there's going to be times in life where things feel very overwhelming. It doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere. It doesn't feel like you're getting any traction with it. And it just feels like you're not able to stack any wins. Like there's nothing going right for you. And the reminder is that the little things will add up. And you can take that as a positive. You can also take that as a negative as well. But the little things matter. In day-to-day life, in everything that we do, the little things matter. And sometimes, especially when it seems like we've gone through a very long period without maybe having some big wins, we have to take stock in the little actions that we do every day, and we have to take stock in the little things that happen every day. And you can come at this from a whole bunch of different angles, but the little things matter in business, the little things matter in training, the little things matter in your relationship. And by little things, if we're talking about actually moving the needle forward on something, it's going to be those daily actions you need to take. It may be something like moving every day, making sure that you're doing some form of physical activity in order to improve your health, making sure that you are on task with the things that you want to do in order to grow the business, or that side hustle that you're undertaking where you need to actually continue to do something every single day to move that forward, to move the needle forward. For me, one of those things from a business point of view has been this podcast. It's been trying to make sure that more often than not, I am releasing an episode every single week. And by doing that action, it has actually helped me continue to grow the business, even though there has been some weeks where I maybe haven't done other bigger things, or I haven't been able to, bring a new person into the coaching program. But knowing that I am constantly pushing myself to put content out, to take that action on a weekly basis, has been something that I have taken some pride in, because there has been some pretty tough and overwhelming times for myself as an individual, for us as a family over the last 12 months that I've spoken about on the podcast, that the focus and the thing that I just keep reminding myself of is that the little things are going to add up. If I keep taking the daily things that I need to from the point of view of making sure that my clients are taken care of, from the point of view of I'm continuing to do this podcast, and from the point of view of training, that for me, one of my goals has always been to move every day. So whether that be as simple as taking a walk, that can double up from a mental health point of view for me as well too. I use that time to clear my head. But movement every day for me, from a health standpoint, has been something that I've always tried to do, because I know that that is going to compound over time, and that is going to give me or move the needle in the direction of one of my long-term goals, which is to try and stay as active as I can for as long as possible into my later years, hopefully into my 70s, 80s, if I last that long, 90s, like into that later stage of my life. So that movement every day has been a little thing that I've focused on, where I've just got to do this because I know that's going to move the needle forward. And sometimes it's very hard to focus on that because we haven't had any big wins. We haven't had any, we feel like we've been overwhelmed and we're just not getting anywhere with anything that we're doing. And it's just coming back to that home beacon of the little things matter. But then the other side of things, that where I look at that is in time with my kids. And it's easy to get caught up in a almost depressive state of when you feel like they're growing up very quickly, and you almost feel like, or I do sometimes, like you have no control over it. And the fact is you don't. Like, you have no control over time. You can't stop or slow down time. The fact is they're going to grow up. But one thing and one perspective that I try and remind myself of is, firstly, the little things matter. So I'm going to enjoy the little moments that I'm going to have with the kids, albeit that there's going to be days where maybe I'm not able to because I need to work and I need to push on these other areas and aspects of my life. Or there are times where maybe I have other things on my mind that might stop me from enjoying those little things with them. It's really important for me to bring myself back to that perspective of these little things matter. These little things are going to add up, because those little moments that I have with them, that time, that quality over quantity time that I am spending with them, is hopefully going to add up for them as they get older and as they go into maybe those years in life where I'm not as much of an influence on them as I have been when they were younger. And our daughter, she's halfway through year 2 now, and I'm starting to see that she's moving into another phase of her life where her friends and her teachers and other people in her life are potentially going to have more of an influence on her than what we are. And that is the natural part of kids growing up. And I can get all depressed about it and down about it, and naturally so. And I do, I like to reminisce on when they were babies and the different times and the fun times they've had and the fun times we've had as a family, and those little things that I've enjoyed with them in the past. But that all comes back to being able to, while I'm in the moment, understand that these little things are going to matter and these little things are going to add up over time. Even if it's not for them, it's for me and for my enjoyment as a father and enjoyment of them growing up and watching them develop into the person that they're going to become. And hopefully, by being present and being engaged, letting them know that they're loved, helping guide them, not do things for them, but guide them through difficult situations, those little things will add up to hopefully help them live a fulfilled life that they are happy with. One of purpose, one where they're driven human beings, one where they are able to be happy with their lot in life and be a productive member of society and a productive member of their friends group, and they have their own families and just continue to grow and continue to evolve and continue to push forward. And that perspective of enjoying the little things, understanding the little things adding up, it is just such a thing that I think we all need to be reminded of on regular occasions, especially if you're somebody like me who does struggle with, what's the best way to describe this? Because this is, I'm finding this a little hard to articulate, but it's, if you're somebody who struggles with going down maybe a more negative path where you get really down about them growing up and you let that kind of drip into other areas of your life, taking the enjoyment in those small things and understanding that, yes, while it's not going to last forever and we can never get these moments back, if we can just, when we're in those moments, enjoy them and be present and be part of that with them, then we've done all we can as parents to try and move them in a positive direction for their development. But then also, from our peace of mind, being present for those times just means that we don't have to be sad about it ending because we've been able to enjoy it while it was there. And there's been times where I look back with my kids and overall of their time growing up, I've been very lucky because I think I've had that perspective for quite a while from when our daughter was quite young. So I've always been there. But there's been times where I know I've been disengaged. I know I haven't been present. And yeah, I get a little bit down about it. But overall, as a whole, I've been able to be engaged and involved. And I've spoken to dads who have kids who are older. And some of them say, like, their biggest regret is that they weren't able to be present due to their own internal roadblocks when their kids were younger. They were always preoccupied with everything else that needs to be done. And yes, the money needs to be made. And yes, we need to work hard. And as fathers, there are certain obligations that we need to fulfill. But being a present father is also something that we need to fulfill. And don't get me wrong, I do feel that you need to have a purpose, whether it be professionally or you're building your own business, and your kids need to see you work and they need to see you work hard because, as we know, like, kids will learn through seeing rather than being told. The do as I say, not as I do mantra is not something that really works, especially with younger kids. And I don't even think with older kids. Like, I don't know, I haven't been through that phase of parenting yet, but a lot of people will follow through action. Like, as a leader, as a father, as a husband, as a leader in your family and your community, a lot of it, you have to practice what you preach. And with younger kids, like, they're not going to just hear what you say. They're going to see what you do and they're going to emulate that. If you're telling them that they need to, go and do something, and then they ignore you or you, and then you get angry about it. But then when you look at your actions, when they maybe ask you to do something, you're on your phone and you're not listening to them, and you're not reacting, but you're not engaged with them, and you semi-ignore them or you kind of brush off what they say or what they ask, then that's a learned behavior. That's not a behavior that it's not a behavior that maybe you want, but if you're telling them not to do that, but then what they're seeing you do is the thing that you're telling them not to do, it can create this level of confusion with them where it's like, well, you don't do that. And that hypocritical way of trying to get kids to do something, I think it's not going to work. I know it's not going to work because they're going to mimic the behavior they see and they're going to go down that path. And speaking of going down paths, I've kind of gone off on a tangent a little bit, but being engaged and being present when they ask you a question, being able to answer it. And that doesn't mean you have to drop everything, because there are going to be times where maybe you do, there is something else that needs to take priority. But by making sure we are engaged in those little moments, we are setting the example for them to be engaged in the little moments for themselves as they get older, and enjoying life a little bit more, rather than getting caught up in some of the big picture stuff that maybe gets overwhelming at times. And especially when the big wins aren't coming thick and fast. And let's be honest, the big wins actually don't come as much as I think what people want them to. They know, like, you're never going to progress as fast as you want to, but if we can focus on stacking those small wins and having those little things adding up over time, and appreciating those little things as we're doing them and at the time that we're in, for me, centering back to that focus has definitely been something that has helped with create a more positive mental state where I'm able to take action when the action needs to be taken. And I know that has also helped a lot of other fathers and people that I've worked with over the years, because all too often we get caught up in the big picture and how far away from where maybe we want to be we are right now. And just understanding that the little things will add up and the little things matter can be such an important part into your overall enjoyment in life. So let me know if that's something that you struggle with, if you get caught up in the big picture a lot, because I know I do, and I know there's a lot of people that do as well. And that's something that you need to have a bigger picture. You need to have something that you're working towards, because that is going to set those little actions that you are going to need to do. But focusing on how far away from that you are is a recipe for a lot of people, me included, to get a little bit down in the dumps about when I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. And then in turn, getting into that mind state can detract from actually enjoying the little things with your kids and with your family and in other areas of your life that probably aren't ever going to happen again, or the time for them to happen is going to be limited. And if you're so caught up in that bigger picture, in how far away from other things you are, and feeling like you're not going to get anywhere in other areas of your life, you're going to miss that opportunity. And that's going to lead to regret later on down the track. And no one wants to get to the end of their life and feel regret about the time that they have missed out on with their kids. So thanks for listening. If you've gotten this far, thanks for listening to me ramble for 18 minutes. Let me know if that's something you struggle with, because as I said, it's definitely something I've struggled with. But just remember, as a reminder, like, the little things are going to add up and the little things matter. And if we can take a little bit more enjoyment in those little things, and we can just focus on taking a little bit of action every single day, we'll get to where we need to go or where we want to go. But we do have to start to take that positive action and move the needle forward in order to get to those destinations and those end goals. So take care. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.